Whether we like it or not, life itself is a competition of sorts. And because life is its own goal, there are going to be a lot of different modalities that we're going to have to learn in life to stay fighting, to stay alive, and to continue to thrive. And we're going to have to get uncomfortable sometimes. And you know what I've noticed is that if I've learned anything in life, it's that people will oftentimes underestimate you, and they want to see you not do what you are destined to do, because if you are being who you are, it reminds them of how detrimental their decisions have been, and they don't want to see you. So they get this competitiveness, this competitive spirit, which I don't necessarily think that it's good to have a competitive spirit. It's okay to be competitive, but because life, as I said, is competition, but to have a competitive spirit is something completely different entirely, because that means that you are forsaking the God's laws, statutes, and commandments, along with faithfulness, mercy, and justice, and not acting in accordance to what is valuable and most valuable to God's laws, statutes, and commandments. Now, with that being said, people have never loved me more than when I was a weak, insufficient goofball that just was a people pleaser. And all of a sudden, when I started to really try in life, when I started to really make an effort, all of a sudden, people didn't like that. People didn't like seeing how there were certain modalities in my own life that I was transcending. And that's when the hate started to come. And so people will start to hate you in accordance to how well you're doing in life when they compare themselves to you. And this may be a comparison in a variety of different ways. This may be a comparison in your state of mind. It could be a comparison in your state of material possessions, which I don't even think that anybody would necessarily be jealous of my material possessions at this point. I'm spiritually wealthy, but I'm not necessarily material wealthy, and in any way, shape, or form, really. Because I understand that material things will rust, they will rot, they will fall away, but what's really going to last is my spirit. And you know, I had a moment in my meditation just yesterday where I was really getting deeper into the essence of having no mind. And it's not necessarily that I wasn't thinking or that I wasn't not thinking either. It was just that I was completely in tune and aligned with my mind, body, and soul, so much to the point to where I could feel as though my spirit was being lifted inside my body during my meditation. And this was a very strange feeling, that it almost was like my body was being densified. I don't even know if that's a word, densified. My body was being densified while my spirit was being completely freed. And the absence of thought was very prevalent, and yet I was very much aware of my sensations. And so this kind of spiritual wealth that you have brings calmness, it brings collectedness, it brings a coolness, it brings a breeze like in the fall where your body is just fresh. You're fresh and things are just falling into place. Anybody that's been around the mountain time when autumn comes around, we're not quite to autumn yet here, but I'm getting the sensation and the feeling that we're kind of transitioning in that transitioning point. And just like the weather changes, so too does our spirit. And in the Bible it talks about how we'll have seasons of certain things. Well, you might have a season where if you're really starting to do well, and not just materialistically, like it doesn't even have to be materialistic, but you might be surrounded by people that are doing just as well as you are, if not even better materialistically. And yet, because you're more fulfilled spiritually, that's why they're going to hate you. That's why they're going to dislike you. That's why they're going to target you and they're going to condemn you. And I had so much love when I was a people pleaser. Why? Because people would be able to stomp on me whenever they wanted. They'd be able to use me whenever they wanted. They'd be able to take advantage of me. And I would let them, because I was a naive little man that didn't have emotional intelligence and didn't have the self-esteem or the backbone to really believe that he was worthy of something more. And it's taken me a long time to get to this point. It's taken me a long time to get to a point to where I know that I'm worthy of being lovable, because I love myself. And it took me a long time to get to the point to where I knew I was worthy of having self-confidence, because the only way that you can really get confidence is by going out there and participating in the world and failing, and then learning from the failures and creating something more. And, you know, just starting a new business myself recently, I've already had a few failures and things that have come up where I had no clue, because this is something completely different that I've tried before. And so it's like, well, I'm gonna have to try something completely different and innovative for this, because I don't know what to do. Well, you got to figure it out though. You got to continue to figure it out, and you got to continue to move forward no matter what. And that's exactly what I've done. Have I been perfect? No, but nobody's going to be perfect. This is something that really stopped me a lot of the time, and one of the reasons why I was a big people pleaser. Because I was such a perfectionist in many ways, shapes and forms, like when I start something, I want to make sure that I'm really good at it. And sometimes when I started something and I was really just meh about it, it was almost like I would lose self-confidence and I would lose self-esteem. And I know I've talked to people that have had very similar feelings like that. And it's almost like this imposter syndrome where inside you feel more capable and confident than you really are. And you're like, wait a second. So is this confidence or is this delusion? Like, is this ego or is this delusion? Because when you don't know who you really are, you can't discern inside yourself the difference between confidence and the difference between delusion. This is one of the reasons why so many people nowadays are so entitled. They literally do not have the difference inside themselves to be recognizable. They view delusion and confidence as one and the same. And so when I say that people have to have pathological self-belief, I say this to the people that are not delusional. I say this to the people that are trying to figure life out and just don't have the motivation or the inspiration to do so. Again, I hate that word motivation. I don't believe in it, but people want to talk about that, so hopefully to spread the message to more people, that's what I'm going to be talking about. But if you want that inspiration, if you want that drive, you've got to be willing to fail. And that's the hardest part, right? Because your ego takes a hit and your confidence takes a hit. You're like, I'm not as good as I thought I was. I'm not as capable as I thought I was. And that's okay though. That's okay, because you got to look like a fool sometimes. You got to be willing to look like a fool. And if you're not willing to look like a fool, look, this is something that I've learned recently too. Don't sacrifice what you're working on for what you just want now. And this goes for like physical fitness and discipline and nutrition. This goes for business. This goes for your relationships. You might want that one thing, that special looking thing, that temptational thing now, but is it actually going to be a part of what you're building on and building with down the line? It's hard to say. It's difficult to say. And you know, developing, like, I still get nervous sometimes. Like when I'm doing things that I don't know how to do, I have no problem with being nervous. It's uncomfortable. It's really uncomfortable, but I have no problem with it. And so when you're uncomfortable and you're okay with being uncomfortable, sometimes people get uncomfortable with that. And it's because they're not comfortable enough inside themselves to see that if you're willing to go above and beyond, to do something that is more, to be more creative, to be more innovative, to do something that is more aligned with your body, soul, and spirit, then that reflects into them something that really inhibits their own sense of self, and they want to project that onto you. And so when you're able to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, people don't like you anymore. They don't like you because they want you to be weak, and they want you to be that goofball that ultimately sees no substance in life. They want you to be that weak person that has no self-control, that has no ability to see beyond the ether and beyond the matrix that we live in here. And they want you to be conducting yourself in a way in which you are stunting your own growth so that you don't grow beyond that which is before you. And if you do happen to do so, if you do, let's say you're learning a new skill at your job, or you're learning a new skill at your business. For all of the entrepreneurs that are out there watching this, like myself, you've got to learn a lot of different aspects of business. And something that I've learned recently is that sales is a huge aspect of entrepreneurship. In fact, I would even argue that entrepreneurship and sales are really the same thing. It's really not too much different, because you have to know how to market a message in a way to where you're providing value, but you're not giving yourself away. And that's really the delicate balance. Like, for example, in these videos, I don't talk about everything that I know, because I'm not going to just tell everybody what I know about on the internet here. I've got some things that's going to be saved for people that actually schedule consultations with me. That's going to be saved for people that are in the Regal Change Academy. There's going to be exclusive content that's certain places that is not necessarily just here on this channel. So that's part of just growing up, is realizing that not everybody's going to be appreciating your time, not everybody's going to be appreciating the knowledge that you have, and not everybody's going to be understanding of what you have to bring to the table. So, and that's okay, that's fine, and don't take it personally. That's something that I did a lot in the past too. Whenever I got rejected at like a job opportunity, or whenever I was rejected with intersexual dynamics, relationships, opportunities, I took it very personally. And I've gotten to the point now to where, even though I'm still nervous in certain positions and in certain aspects and opportunities in life, I'm not gonna take it personally. Like, I'm gonna keep my heart open, but I'm also gonna keep guard of it. And so I'm not gonna just blatantly go out and about flaunting everything that I've got, but I'm also not going to just not give value, okay? Because I believe as a man, we must have value to give, and if you don't, then you're not going to be somebody that is capable of providing the necessary ramifications that are going to be necessary in any kind of relationship. And you've got to have skills, you got to have a mindset. Everything starts with the mindset. And that's another reason why people loved me more when I was weak and a goofball. I didn't have the resilient mindset that I do now. I was fat, I was lazy, and I was somebody that just didn't want to work. I was just not wanting to work. But now, everything that I do every single day, I'm always trying to make sure that I'm investing my time rather than spending my time. So with that being said, I hope this message was useful and insightful. And until next time, Peace be with you.